everyone, KGW investigative reporter Cristin Severance here. We're joined with Christine Smith, the CEO of Grön, and we also have producer Jared here behind the scenes. So we are talking all things CBD. So if you have questions, if you saw the story this morning, if you read the story on the website and you have comments, please weigh in. We are talking about what is CBD, who regulates it, why do people take it, where is this industry going, and research, really anything CBD related, we're diving in. So Christine, let's first start with your background. So you have two companies, right? You have a cannabis company, and then you have a CBD company.
Yes.
Okay.
So I got into this industry in 2015. Practiced architecture for 16 years here at a large firm, and started in the cannabis industry, and really primarily with just microdose chocolates. And then we launched a separate CBD company about a year ago, focused solely on CBD.
Okay, so let's talk CBD. What is it? For the people who don't know, what is it?
Yeah, so CBD stands for cannabidiol, which is one of the cannabinoids that is found primarily, you see it's dominant in cannabis plants, so marijuana or hemp, which the difference between marijuana and hemp really is the amount of THC. So you can have a marijuana plant that as long as there is a THC level of 0.3% or more is considered marijuana. If it's less than that, then it's considered hemp. So CBD is one of those cannabinoids. THC is another. CBDA. There's a whole series of different cannabinoids that are in these plants.
So CBD can come from marijuana.
That's correct. Yeah, CBD is present actually in marijuana. Yes,
but
different or most, not all marijuana.
Okay.
Some, and they're bred for different strains are bred for different cannabinoids. So some are very high in THC, some are very low.
But the CBD that you see in the grocery stores,
yes,
or the festivals or gas stations, that is just CBD. That is CBD from hemp, mostly, correct?
We hope.
Okay. Right.
We hope, but regulation, yes. So if you're in a regulated state such as Oregon, Washington, Colorado, there are really good frameworks around the hemp regulation, and that's primarily where we're seeing it. But the regulation is not quite there. So a lot of the hemp that some of these companies are using for them might be coming from China.
Right.
We don't know.
Okay, so, but the CBD, that you hope is coming from hemp, those are the products,
yes,
sold in New Seasons,
correct,
and
yes,
these other kind of mainstream stores.
Yes, yes.
So why does someone, if CBD, if you're getting CBD because you don't want THC,
yes,
why do people take it?
Well, that's an interesting, it's a really interesting question, and I think primarily I have to be really careful, just like anyone does, is that I can't say and you can't say this is going to cure anything for you. All we can say is to try it. Studies have shown and people have shown that they're finding relief from anxiety, from stress, from chronic pain. There are a lot of opioid users are finding relief with being able to reduce the opioids that they're taking, sleeplessness, a whole variety of different factors. But the studies just really aren't there, and I think we're going to see that transitioning as now the Farm Bill is passed and the FDA comes in to regulate, and we're going to see more government-sponsored studies. But to date, it's really been private studies that have been done generally by the cannabis industry. And so it's, really all we can say is to try it. And for that right now, I'd say the number of testimonials of where people are finding relief kind of speaks for itself.
So people take it because they say it helps with, the people who take it say they take it for anxiety or stress or joint pain or body purposes.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, but what can companies say about CBD? What can they say that it treats?
They could say it treats nothing. We really can't say, we can't legally say that this will help you with anything. All we can say is you can try this and see what it does.
And that's per the FDA. Yes, Jared, question.
We do have a question from Dana McGraw. She would like to know, what is the best brand?
Okay, so this is Dana. She's saying, what is the best brand of CBD? We are with the CEO of a CBD company, so I don't know if this is going to be an unbiased answer, but...
I'm happy to give an unbiased answer.
Okay.
And really, I would say there's a lot of great companies out there, and the way to really know what those great companies are is to turn around the back and check for these certificate, or for really a batch ID number on that, so that if a company is transparent with where their product is coming from, if it's got a testing batch, if you're able to contact the lab, if you're able to contact the company itself, those are all really good signs that you're getting a product that's by a company that's transparent with what they're selling. You can also, there are certain retailers that generally are very good at vetting the products that they sell. For instance, New Seasons does a really good job of making sure that the brands that they carry, they stand behind, versus, perhaps an online retailer. If you're buying it online, I might question what they're selling. But I would definitely do a little homework on the company that you're buying it from. You can tell a lot within the first couple minutes, just with a few clicks.
Great question. Thank you, Jared. And keep the questions coming if you have them. We definitely want to know. So, okay, in terms of regulation, so the FDA, per the FDA, you cannot say that CBD can treat or do anything.
Correct.
So the FDA has sent letters to companies for making specific health claims, but that's about it, correct? I mean, they really haven't done anything else.
They haven't really to date. I think we're going to see more of that. I think now that the FDA is, now that the Farm Bill is passed, what that did is that decriminalized CBD. So it took it out of it. They basically, what it did was it decriminalized hemp.
Right.
Hemp, and there's really a distinction there. So it decriminalized hemp. So those products, hemp actually, it does contain CBD. So you can take that out, but it takes it out of being you're not going to go to jail for it, but now it sends it into the realm of the FDA to regulate it. It's going to take them time to figure out what those regulations are. The FDA has approved Epidiolex, a drug, a CBD drug for epilepsy, but other than that, the FDA has remained really silent to date, other than a few cease and desist for really blatant mistakes. But I think we'll see more and more of that coming.
So the FDA has sent letters. That's about it in terms of enforcement. And so I'm sure you'll agree, and many other CBD business owners will agree, there is no regulation. There's such a huge lack of regulation.
There is a lack of regulation, and I think the states that have regulated cannabis actually probably have the most regulation right now, and it's just because those states are structured that way. You go into some of these other states that really haven't, and they have no framework at all to support any kind of regulation at all. So, I feel like that's why really we're in this is the Silicon Valley of CBD right now, of the CBD revolution right here on the West Coast, really just kind of from where the West Coast has come.
And so in our big story on CBD that ran this morning, it's on kgw.com right now, we talked to this researcher in Pennsylvania. He studied CBD for 15 years, and he did a study where he tested all of these CBD products. He bought CBD online, tested all of it. He found 7 out of 10 did not contain the amount of CBD promised on the label.
Yeah.
He found 43% contained too much, 26% contained too little, and then 1 out of 5 CBD products he tested contained THC. So, and he's saying, look, the FDA regulates Coke, the FDA regulates Doritos, but the FDA is not regulating this. What are your thoughts on that?
I completely agree, and that is a problem right now, and that's the risk to consumers with these products. And it is just because a hemp plant contains 0.3% THC doesn't mean that doesn't build up in your system over time, and there are trace amounts of THC. Now, there are ways now that they're able to isolate that and remove that THC and put it in products, but not everybody are following those practices. There's no regulation. There's no one saying if you're going to put this on a shelf in a New Seasons or in a Fred Meyer that it has to conform to certain standards, or it must not have any THC, or what those regulations are. So it's I think we're going to see over the next 18 months the FDA kind of really regulation come into play, and I'm hopeful that within 2 years that those good players are going to rise at the top, and we're going to see regulation
some
come.
change. Okay,
Yeah.
Jared, another question?
We have a lot of questions.
Oh,
People are very
great.
interested.
Okay, great. Thank you,
Do you
everyone,
guys just
so
wanna
much.
go through them?
Yes,
Sure.
please, yes.
All right, so first, Linda Dethridge-Smith asks, if I want to try CBD oils for migraines, how do I know what to look for when purchasing CBD oil?
And that's from?
Linda Smith.
All right, Linda's saying she wants to try CBD oils. How does she know what to look for?
Yeah. So, hi, Linda. My advice to you would be to go to a retailer, for instance, and I know I keep going back to New Seasons, but they are really a great, if you're here local in Oregon, they're a great retailer where you can actually go talk to a wellness specialist that can kind of help you, guide you through a couple of different brands and different options. The best thing I could say is to do your homework on a couple of different companies and really try to understand the transparency. I mean, CBD is CBD, but the amount that goes into it, where the source is coming from, how it's tested, and what you're actually getting out of it. Right now, you have to rely on the actual companies that are doing that because it's not a fully regulated system.
So you really want to, and our whole story found, because of this lack of regulation, these companies can really do or say anything, and no one is checking to see if the amount of CBD that should be in these products is in there. So
I mean, for example, we treat our CBD company and our testing and our products the exact same way that we do with our cannabis products, which those go through an incredibly rigorous testing where they come and they pull 13 samples out of a batch and they run a control study, and then those are submitted, and then on every batch that goes forward, we have random samples that are pulled and tested, and those test results are available to any consumer. If you call and ask us, we will gladly provide you that, and that information is on the back of every single product that a consumer would buy. Mm-hmm. And I would say not just for our products, but for other products on the market too. If you are not able to get a certificate of analysis and to be able to verify what that is, don't buy it.
And we have seen other products.
Yeah,
I went in.
absolutely.
We went in last night, looked at the shelves. There are some with some batch numbers. Okay, so sorry. Let's get some more questions.
Yes,
we'll answer as many. We'll just try to fire them off. Okay.
Yeah, and if these are questions that have already been answered, that's okay. We'll answer them.
Okay.
So Rose Fink Gallegos, Rose asks, what is the THC content in CBD that supposedly helps with pain?
Okay, so Rose, thank you so much for the question.
THC is not actually in CBD. THC is a separate cannabinoid. So look at it as they're different ingredients in cookies. And this is maybe a horrible analogy, but you've got all these different ingredients that come in. CBD is separate from THC. It's just that in a hemp plant or in a cannabis plant or in a product, the THC exists as a separate cannabinoid. Where you've got CBD. So THC attaches to different receptors in your body than the CBD. So getting CBD products that don't contain THC, it's really hard to know I mean, if it's coming from a CBD isolate, which is an isolated CBD, and you can ask companies that, then you're not going to have THC, or you should not have any THC in that because the CBD has been isolated. If it's a full spectrum CBD oil, it's very likely and possible that there are trace amounts of THC in it.
Okay. Jared, thank you, Rose.
Katie Wilson asks, I've heard that too much CBD can cause liver damage. Is that true? So,
there is not a lot of research on CBD out there. I did interview a doctor. He's an instructor for Harvard Medical School. He's also, very pro CBD. He says a lot of his patients use it for pain. He says one of the biggest risks, he believes really one of the only risks of using CBD is if it interacts with maybe some medications you're already taking. But I have seen some of these liver concerns out there. Have you read any studies on this? I
really haven't, and I can't claim I'm not a doctor, and I don't know about that. So you probably, from speaking to those experts, know more than I do. I do know that OHSU has been working on some studies with chronic pain, and they've found historically, from one of the lectures I went to up there, was that one of the beauties about both THC and CBD is the lack of medications that it interferes with. So there is the possibility that it interferes, but as far as other drug interactions, it's really on the low scale.
And you just, the expert I interviewed said you need to just let your doctor know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially if your doctor, like the gentleman I interviewed, is,
Yeah.
knows
And
that you're
doctors
taking it.
are more and more open and actually really interested in understanding to be able to help their patients, because I think patients are generally coming to their health professionals saying, I'd like to try
Having
this.
questions, yeah,
Yeah,
a lot of
help
questions.
me.
What else? Any more, Jared?
Yes, Marilyn Elliott would like to know what does CBD, is it tincture mean on a label?
Yeah, so a CBD tincture is actually, it's just a, generally it's CBD that's suspended in an oil. So for example, our tincture is in an MCT oil, which is a fractionated coconut oil. You also see it sometimes in an olive oil, or it's not a tincture made from an alcohol base. It's generally an oil.
Okay, that's a great question. Yeah, I did not know what a tincture was until I started doing this story.
It's not really a tincture.
Right, got it. It's just oil form.
It's
correct?
just an oil. CBD, cannabinoids like fat. So you see, they naturally homogenize with fat, and they work really well. So it's really easy, and it's a really great way to get them in your body is through an MCT oil, where you're not having to get, if you're not looking for sugar.
Got it. Okay, what else?
Tammy Kimball would like to know, how do you know what store that has CBD is okay to buy from? I'm asking about marijuana stores. I want to try it for my seizures instead of pills that I've done for 58 years.
And what's her name?
Tammy Kimball.
Tammy, okay. Maybe, Christine, you can go on after and kind of write her
You bet.
own
You bet.
her own response, because I think we kind of have to go a little deeper on that one, okay? Thank you
Laura,
so much, though, for asking. We'll definitely get on there and answer your question as best as we can.
Yeah, she can go back and look in the comments. And we'll
Yes.
Okay.
answer there. Lori Zeiss, I hope I said that right. She would like to know if CBDs are helpful for children's chronic headaches. Her granddaughter has childhood form of epilepsy and chronic headaches, and she'd like to know your thoughts on that.
My thoughts would be to talk to your health professional, or talk to a health professional that might be a little bit more savvy about CBDs. I certainly can't say one way or the other. I'm not going to recommend that you would give it to children, but I know a lot of people do, and it definitely is being used. I mean, that is the one drug that the FDA has approved is for epilepsy.
I was just about to say
Yes.
that, yeah. So the FDA has approved one drug for epilepsy in
and
children.
it is clinically shown to be very effective.
And that is the one area that's FDA
So
approved.
so I would say talk, but studies haven't been shown. Is it harmful for children? Is it possible that it could interact with other ways? We just don't know.
And a lot of the researchers say because there's no regulation that CBD may have THC in it.
Correct.
So that is also a concern when you bring children in.
Right.
Yeah, some of these questions overlap a little bit, but I think it's okay to ask
sure.
all of them. Diana Lehman would like to know, I've been thinking about trying CBD oil for my anxiety, but my doctors told me not to take it because it's not regulated by the FDA. However, I have been told by a lot of people it helps their anxiety. Who should I talk to about how much I should take, what I should take, etc.?
The beauty of with CBD is to just start small. So I would say with anyone, if you're looking to try it for yourself, if you start with 5 or 10 milligrams, it's not going to get you high. It's more, I look at with CBD, if it's effective, it's a little bit like taking an aspirin and a headache goes away. You're not going to get high. It's not going to impair your driving, or it shouldn't if it doesn't have THC. But if it's going to help, you're generally going to find some relief in some way. But I would start small, 5 milligrams, 10 milligrams. A lot of people that use it use 20 to 30 milligrams a day. And there's lots of different forms of taking that. But somewhere, everybody has a different dose of what they find effective.
And I also think it's an important point to point out that some people say it doesn't work.
That's correct.
There are people that say, I've tried it, this does nothing for me.
Yeah. That is absolutely true, and there is no miracle cure for everyone on the planet that's going to work the same way. All our bodies are different. Some things work great for people, some things don't. Some people get ulcers from something that someone else. From jalapenos, and other people can. Our bodies are all very different. But I would say haven't found any harm in giving it a try. It's not gonna hurt you. I would be very cautious about the companies that you're purchasing from, and buying from a reputable retailer, so that you can, do a little investigation into the companies that you're supporting. I think that's really the responsible decision in an unregulated market. But it's not snake oil, and it really can be effective.
So a viewer named Ben actually posted a question on your page, Cristin, about CBD for pets.
Okay.
And how is CBD for pets regulated? You'd like to know.
Oh, how it's
That's
regulated.
a great question.
Okay.
Yeah. So Ben, that's a great question with pets, and right now there is no regulation. But ironically enough, the pet industry, the veterinary industry, is, as far as supplements go, is actually more regulated than the human supplement industry. So, for example, we just joined the NASC. It's the National Animal Supplement Council, which regulates and it doesn't actually regulate, but it actually can put a seal of approval that they work hand in hand with the FDA. So, for example, getting that kind of approval then allows you to go into stores, larger pet retailers, where you're going to see more and more of these CBD products. But I know those larger retailers are not carrying CBD products that do not carry that NASC certification.
Interesting.
The human market doesn't quite have that right now, but I think we're going to see regulation and coming faster on the pet side than we do the human.
Okay, great. I think we're good.
We have many more questions if you want to keep going.
Sure. Let's take a couple more.
Okay, let's finish the ones that we have.
Sure.
And then we'll go.
Okay.
All right. Gina asks, please explain the difference in isolate, distillate, and whole plant full spectrum oil.
Sure.
Explain the idea that these CBD strains have different abilities.
Gosh, these are great questions. Okay, so the difference between a CBD isolate, a distillate, and full spectrum. Full spectrum is basically taking the plant material. You're getting all the good things, all the terpenes, all the flavors, and the terpenes are what make it smell. And so and that's what gives it a taste too. So full spectrum oil is you're getting everything that's in that. The distillate it's refined. It's taking that full spectrum oil and you're refining it, and you're pulling out those terpenes, or most of those terpenes, and it turns it into a more concentrated oil that is closer to an isolated cannabinoid, but you're still going to potentially have THC in there. And a lot of that happens through a heat process. Now, isolate takes it one step further, and you're able to actually, because THC and CBD burn off at different temperatures, you're able to actually burn away the THC and isolate just the CBD. So the beauty of that is you're just getting CBD. The downside of that, though, in some cases, is you're not getting all these other terpenes that are beneficial. But I think there's cases and there's different scenarios where they're all great, and they just, you really just need to kind of know what you're looking for.
Okay, interesting.
The full spectrum definitely taste very, very weedy. If you think of what a weedy taste is, that's the full spectrum. The distillate and the isolate is where you're going to start it's tasteless.
Okay.
So I think for the handful of remaining questions, they do seem like we can kind of go through these rapid fire.
Okay.
We'll just do that. So
Okay, great.
Diane Yunker wants to know, is Grön synthetic?
No.
Okay. Heather Berman would like to know how long it takes to know whether the CBD is helping you.
That depends. I think
Depends on the person.
It depends on the person, and I would, if you try a little bit, and you could try a little bit more and see if that works. Again, if you get up to 30 or 40 milligrams and you're not finding any relief, within a few hours, then maybe it isn't working.
Okay.
Or try a different brand.
Lori Zeiss would like to know if CBDs are effective for anxiety.
So per the FDA, no one can make any claims about CBD. So Cristin cannot say, take this CBD for my company, it's going to help you with anxiety, stress. No company can say any of that. So we really cannot say one way or the other. You say people do take it for that, but we cannot say, yes, it's going to help with that. I think the big bottom line here is there's so much interest in it, clearly. Yeah. CBD is everywhere in Portland. Lattes, lotions, massages, pastries,
Yep.
balms. I mean, every product you can imagine. People take the tincture, but there's no regulation.
Yep.
And there's a lot of people say there's not enough research.
Right.
So I think we'll just continue to see it grow?
It's going to evolve. It's going to evolve. It moves in dog years. The last year, what we've seen in change has been tremendous, and I think over the next 2 years, it's going to be tenfold. So the industry is going to look very different in a year from now than it does right now.
I would love for Cristin if you would go on and answer some of these questions individually that we couldn't get to, because we really appreciate all your questions. I mean, I knew this was going to be popular, but there were so many questions. So thank you so much, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
I really
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. Okay, we'll see you next time. Please go kgw.com, check out the full story, and leave any other questions below.
Thanks.